Creative Audiobooks presents The Forgotten History of Mallows in the loving memory of Sisby's father, Sisby's and Sisby's grandfather, Sisby's. Sisby's, edited by Dano and Frederick. The Forgotten History of Mallows, copyright 2024 by Sisby's. All rights reserved. I don't know the fucking law. Do whatever you want. Just don't eat the cat. Cats are all cool. I love cats. I have a cat. Her name is Frederick. I love her a lot. Everybody should have a cat. I have two. Maybe not cat eaters. Cat eaters shouldn't have cats. I hate spiders. They scare me. I do. Dino. ESPN 69696969. Table of contents. A historical overview of the marshmallow people. The legend of Hagar's marshmallows. The wrath of Rames. Fight and Mars. The bird song. The Eye. The first drawn record of a marshmallow seizure. The argument and extras. Meow 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 meow. From Frederick. Mainstream? Just Jeff. It's a recent discovery. Jeff is a marshmallow. Sisby's. Wait a second. Let me get my fire tool here. Just a second. A historical overview of marshmallow people. The marshmallow or mallow people, according to legend, were created around 2.550 BC. Now I am not going to read the numbers. I'm too lazy for that. Legend said that Sneferu, who has the power of at the time, so mine is his favorite couple, Thomas and Emily, who still had I can't read it. I'm not going to do this again. I'm just cutting it in. Still had not had children. That's not grammar. Had children at that time. Sneferu then sacrificed over 100 bulls and over 1,000 sheep to summon Hagar, the Egyptian god of magic. Hagar, impressed by the gifts, appeared in a flash, bright white light, then gave and as far as we can tell, 2 marshmallows, and told them to consume them. When they did, their skin went white as milk, and they became soft and squishy, aka they became streamers. The mallow people began to grow in population. Approximately 200 years later, Mariera, the current pharaoh, fearing that the mallow people will take over his kingdom, chased them out on the Egypt, killing as many of the mallow people as they fled. Eventually, the mallow people made their way to the greatest Vesuvian. Mara then lived there in peace for many years. How they got to Vesuvian swamp is lost. How they got to the Vesuvian swamp is lost in history. For around 4,000 years, 95% of the mallow population stayed in the Vesuvian Dingsbums swamp and up until the 1800s or the 19th jahrhundert, when the mallow people began to spread throughout the world, according to 50% of the population remaining in the Vesuvian swamp to this day. Historically, the mallow people lived in giant mushroom houses. The species of giant mushrooms has long died out. Marshmallow peoples are renowned for their ability to fall from great heights. They can fall over 15.5 meters, that's 50.8 feet, with virtually no injuries. The world record is 77.25 meters, or 235.44 feet. Mallow people can eat most of the same foods as humans are taught, according to a survey taken in 2005. Most love mushrooms. The mallow population, as of a study done in 2019, is approximately 27.3 million. Oh. The Forgotten History of Mallows by S.S.Peace. I regret saying that like this. Chapter 1. The Legend of Hagar's Marshmallows. There once was a far man who was upon the great throne, a power named Snafu, who ruled the world with kindness and love. Sorry. Oh, my eyes hurt so much. Can someone please edit this out? Thanks. Oh, I think my pizza is burning. Wait a second. So it's 3 days later. Something really disturbing happened, and I'm probably going to tell it. It stays over 50 years with us. It's so sad. The oven light died. You really believe something bad happened? No, it's just 15 seconds away. One day, aboard the warship, I'm going to start again. Over. There once was a fair man who was upon the great throne, a power named Sneferu. No, again. There once was a fair man who was upon the great throne, a pharaoh named Sneferu, who ruled the world with kindness and love. All the world worshipped him, a man large and small. One day Sneferu, sitting upon his great throne in gold, silver, and brass, stretched forth his hand and commanded, "Go forth, my servant, sacrifice 100 mighty bulls, 1,000 strong sheep, even 10,000 bales of good hay, even all the easel of the sea, and the north wind to summon Hika, for he is great." And when it was done, Sneferu threw his head back and called to heaven, saying, "Come, Heka, god of magic and medicine, for we have sacrificed so much summon you. Stuff, I don't know, cut it out." Heka, the god of gods, impressed by the gifts, appeared in a flash of mighty bright light. Then Heka cried unto Sneferu, "Bringeth unto the Thomas, ruler of many lands, owner of so much livestock, master of 1,000 slaves, and Emily newly to Thomas and daughter of Aaron, commander of your army." I'm going to read this again. I skipped something. "Bringeth unto me Thomas, ruler of many lands, owner of so much livestock, master of 1,000 slaves, and Emily newly to Thomas and the daughter of Aaron, commander of your army." Thomas and Emily came forth and fell on their faces, their tears spilling forth as they cried unto Heka, "O great Heka, great one of magic, what desireth thou?" And Heka said unto them, "Stand forth unto me, for I bring as many great tidings unto you and your seed." Heka then stretched forth his hands and said many words of magic, which cannot be written down nor said, because neither I nor any man, woman, or child knows the word which was spoken. Only Heka, the god of magic, knoweth what was spoken. Therefore, after Heka had made an end to his speaking, there was a thundering boom which killed 80 men, and the white light blinded the eyes of all those present. And it came to pass, when the light was gone, there were 2 cylinders looking after the manner of marshmallows, but whiter than the whitest sheep's coat, whiter than the whitest. Again. There were 2 cylinders looking after the manner of marshmallows, but whiter than the whitest sheep's coat, whiter than the whitest milk. And Heka commanded them to eat, and they did. Therefore the taste was sweeter than the sweetest cow milk, sweeter than the honey of the healthiest bees, sweeter than all the sweetness in all the isles of the sea upon all the ends of the earth. And when it was eaten, Thomas and Emily's skin turned white, the same white as the cylinders they had eaten, and their skin became squishier than the wet clay, squishier than Fred the Great Cat. Again, squishier than Fred the Great Cat. Now I can laugh. This actually looked pretty good. Congrats to you. It's funny and it's interesting. Chapter 2: The Wrath of Ramses. There was once a man uglier than muddy ass. His hair was unkempt and he had no manners. Then one day, through all the fluke of the universe, this evil man became the pharaoh of all Egypt. On a one dreadful morning, he snarled to himself, "What evil should I do upon this day?" Then his eyes fell upon a young marshmallow named Bob, and he said unto him, with an evil gleam in his eye, "What do?" With that young again, cut that out. I'm stupid. I have to drink something. Wait a second, I don't have water. Yeah, shit. With that, young Bob puffed out of his chest with pride and said to the evil pharaoh, "I am Bob, son of Bob, grandson of Bob of the marshmallows." Ramses turned into a frankly nice god and said with much stead, "Bring me Bob, the oldest of the family of the marshmallow." When it was done, Ramses glared at Bob and said unto him, Ramses glared at Bob and said to again. Cut out. Just cut it out. Yes. Okay. Thanks. When it was done, Ramses glared at Bob and said unto him, which was most wrath his voice and evil his small lifeless stone heart, "Get out of Egypt by sunset today, or else I put up a fright and be crushed by my armies." Again. "Get out of Egypt by sunset today, or else I will put a fight to be crushed by my armies." As Bob turned and fled, the evil, stone-hearted, unkempt, and smelly man kicked Bob in the backside, helping the old very nice man along his way. Then, as the family of Marshmallow fled in fear, the armies of Ramses chased after them in glee, trying to cut off their toes and roaring with laughter. They flee through the forest, through deserts of sand, battling sand snakes and bears only with their hands. They ran right up to the rivers and snuck to the greatest plains, sprinted over mountain ridge, and then they hopped on wild boars and zoomed through valleys. Then finally escaped through the long reach of Ramses, the evil man who had thrown them out of Egypt, their home for many long years. Chapter 3. Fight on Mars. It was a great day when Jeff came out of his lively blue. It was a great day when Jeff came to his lively blue planet. At the time, the Earth was under the crushing grip of the evil overlord Mr. Bob. 7 feet tall, clad in armor of silver and red, and with the strength of 50 men, he ruled the Earth until for years, terrorizing the good people and marshmallows of Earth. No one could stop him. Then Jeff came, and then he just clicked on the little X in the corner of the Unreal Engine window and just entered this horrifying dream. Shit, that was actually good. Let's cut that out, and then Jeff came. Jeff came from the noble family of Marshmallow. Are you kidding me? Again. Jeff came from the noble family of Marshmallow. From a very young age, he trained and trained and trained. He trained in weapons using swords, knives, axes, guns, cannons, 0-point energy-filled manipulators. Again, let's try. He trained in weapons using swords, knives, axes, guns, cannons, 0-point energy-filled manipulators, flamethrowers, and most light swords. During the time he spent training, Mr. Bob sent over 40 assassins after Jeff. All were easily defeated. By the time Jeff was 5 months old, he was ready. All he needed was a way to get into Mr. Bob's fortress. The problem was Mr. Bob's fortress was on Mars, protected by all the aliens that lived there. After thinking it over, Jeff decided to make a teleportation gun. Really, a portal gun. It just took him 2 days to make it. Finally, it was time. The day it was here, and Jeff was ready. The following is from Jeff's journal. It's slightly altered for the reader's convenience. It was finally ready. All the hard work, all the hard pain by suffering, it had come to this. Standing before the portal, the blue light of the outline of the portal reflecting off my poor white armor, I didn't make a very good intimate sight. About 3 feet tall, both people want to baby me, but I was no baby. I was chosen by. Well, I can't go into that in time. Let's read the last block again. Standing before the portal, the blue light of the outline in the portal reflecting off my pure white armor. I didn't want to make a very intimidating sight. At about 3 feet tall, most people want to baby me, but I was no baby. I was chosen by. Well, I can't go into that. The deep black forest flashed. The deep black of the portal flashed in my eyes as I turned away from the assortment of weapons around me. Again. The deep black of the portal flashed into my eyes as I turned away to the assortment of weapons around me. So many weapons. But I always knew deep in my heart what I was going to use. I picked up my lightsaber and quickly spun it backwards. I picked up my lightsaber and quickly spun back towards the portal and began walking forwards in it. I picked up my lightsaber and quickly spun backwards to the portal and began to walk towards it. There was no time to waste. If I did hesitate, who would die next? I lost my sister, my father, my brother. Again. I lost my sister, my father, and my mother. Who would be next? Who would be next? The portal drew closer. My brother? My clear friend Kotan? My dear friend Coin? Entered the portal. Mr. Bob's drone was paused. Yes, it was coming from someone who was 3 feet tall. Again. Mr. Bob's throne room. Again. Mr. Bob's throne room was vast. Yes, this is coming from someone who was 3 feet tall, but it was really massive. Second. I surveyed the rooms in an instant. The room was 100 feet wide. And second. Oh my god, I just cut that out, cut all of it out. Second, I want to try. Mr. Bob's throne room was vast. Yes, this is coming from someone who is 3 feet tall, but it really was massive. I surveyed the room in an instant. The room was 100 feet wide and 300 feet across. I had popped out close to the middle of the room. I didn't bother talking. I lit my lightsaber, sparkling a thick ray of white energy pop out of my hilt. As I charged at Mr. Bob, I realized that the room was filled with commanders, lovers, and sycophants, all sitting against the wall with fine chairs and all very shocked to see a little boy sprinting Mr. Bob with a lightsaber. And another take. I didn't bother talking. I lit my lightsaber, sparking a thick ray of white energy pop out of my hilt. As I charged at Mr. Bob, as I charged as Mr. Bob, as I charged at Mr. Bob, I registered that the room was filled with commanders, lovers, and sycophants, all sitting against the wall with fine chairs and all very, very shocked to see a little boy sprinting at Mr. Bob with a lightsaber. Mr. Bob was not shocked, not even a little surprised. He leaped to his feet, drawing his one lightsaber and lighting it with a flourish. Red light poured out. It was close enough. I leaped at him. It was hard to fight someone who is more than twice the size of you, but then again it's also hard to fight someone half your size. I whipped my blade in a wide arc in his legs. He blocked it. Instantly I spun it using only my right hand and slashed at his other side. Again he blocked it, and I flickered my sword into my other hand as I spun and tried slamming my blade into his legs, but again his sword. I lost the line, sorry. But where am I? Okay, so cut it out. I waved my blade in a wide arc at his legs. He blocked it. I instantly spun using only my right hand and slashed him at his other leg. Again he blocked it and flicked my sword to my other hand as I spun and tried to slamming my blade into his legs, but again his sword was in the way. I quickly sprang at his head. When his sword came up to block my strike, I slammed my sword into it, not aiming to get through it, but to push myself away from it. I flew backward. When I landed, I skidded slightly, but I kept my balance easily. Mr. Bob spat on the ground, smirking. "This was your plan? You're too weak, too young." A small voice in my head quietly agreed. It was no magic for Mr. Bob, it's just my own mind. Angrily, I shook it off. I was ready. I am ready. People are dying every year. Now I need to go now, even if I stopped that thought in his tracks. All this flashed through my head in an instant. Ignoring Mr. Bob's barb, I dropped my lightsaber, looking eyes with the swarm enemy, then raised my hands, flexed them over my head. Instantly my opponent did the same. We knew what I'm losing my nerves. I'm too stupid to read a fucking text, oh my god. Instantly my opponent did the same. He knew what was about to happen, even if no one else did. I slammed my hands together, making the room shudder and producing ripples in the air. Quickly I began, weaving, you could say. I wove the strings of material, space, time, of indescribable things, all for one purpose: to destroy Mr. Bob. He is a weaver too. That's one of the many reasons he is so powerful. I gathered the strings in the throne room and began to pull them inward to try and crush everyone in there. Mr. Bob, using the same strings I was pushed and kept the room from imploding. Instantly switched direction and pushed. For a second we were both pushing on the walls of the throne room. Cracks spiraled around the ceiling and walls. Dust and debris raining down on us. Mr. Bob's loyal followers ran out of the room, screaming in terror. Ignoring the coverts, I extended my hand into the torches, reached for the flames, then flicked the threads to make the fire. Ignoring the coverts, I extended my hands to the torches, reached for the flames, then flicked the threads to make fire shoot out at Mr. Bob. Again. Ignoring the coverts, I extended my hands to the torches. Reached for the flames, then flicked the threads to make fire shoot out at Mr. Bob. He threw up his hands, flicking the threads in the air, stopping my fire. Then he stepped forward and making a pushing motion in my direction. The air hit me like a hurl of 100 bolts. I blocked it, but only partially. I stumbled back as I lost my balance and fell, making a split-second decision as I fell. I used the threads in the air to make me hit the floor so much harder than I normally would have. Shock waves came from where I landed, and cracks zoomed from the position of the floor, making Mr. Bob stumble. Shockwaves came from where I had landed, and cracks zoomed from the position of the. Need a bit of water. For some reason, I'm making this light carving noise. Don't ask. My cat is screaming. What does she want? I don't know. Let's get back to the thing. Yes. Shockwaves came from where I had landed, and cracks zoomed from the position of the floor, making Mr. Bob stumble, but I knew it was not enough. He was much too good at weaving. So I did the only thing I could. I reached inside me, deep inside, past the bitter height for the person who had taken everything from me, my family, my friends, my home. I reached past the sorrow of the loss of my mother and my sister, past the hate of this tall man, to a place I always knew I had, a place of power. As soon as I touched it, I knew what it was. Was the power of marshmallows. My humor is broken. It was the power of marshmallows. I leaped, no, I flew at him, a sword not of light but of marshmallow in my hand. That's not very tight. With white flames sparking across the marshmallows. I flew at Mr. Bob. He stepped back, raising his blade to block mine, but the blade of marshmallow was greater than all our blades. I flew at Mr. Bob. He stepped back, raising his blade to block mine, but the blade of marshmallow was greater than all other blades. It disintegrated his blade upon touch of my superior blade. My sword plunged into his skull, killing him in an instant. I had won. He was defeated. I decided to take a nap because I was really tired and sleepy. Chapter 4. The Bird Song. The following is from Jeff's journal. Where is this chapter tag? Pink or something, I don't know. Where's my mouse pad? I don't care. I stood abruptly, my head spinning. War was never my thing, yet it followed me. I stood abruptly, my head spinning. War was never my thing, yet it followed me relentlessly. Relentlessly. We had been in a war room planning for hours. My head spun as I stumbled out of our policing for my counselors. I managed to make my way to my place. The thought was still odd, even though I had been mine for 20 years now. Stopping, I clutched my head and squeezed my eyes shut. 5 wars. There were 5 wars going on at the same time. I could barely manage to one small, let alone 5 massive wars. Again. Stopping, I clutched my head and squeezed my eyes shut. 5 wars. 5 fucking wars going on at the same time. I could barely make one small, let alone 5 massive wars. I sighed, opening my eyes, began to walk into the nearby forest. Through the walls spiraled to my mind. Thoughts of the walls spiraled to my mind, but I shoved them away. The sounds of the forest washed over like a large wave at my feet. My soul was filled with peace. I stroked through the woods, the sound of the forest seeming to cover me and protect me from my worries. I walked through the beautiful forest, listening to the sound of the rustling of the trees. The leaves whispered softly as the wind gently flowed through them and the branches. The birds gracefully swooping through the air and perching to the branches, sitting on their heads out. The forest was peaceful. I kept walking. About 20 minutes later, a bird landed on me. It was the most gorgeous bird I have ever seen, and probably would never see it in my life. It was yellow, but not ordinary yellow. It was the color of the prettiest sunset, the color of the finest gold, the color of the burning hot coals, the color of my screen when it has stand too long in the sun and is white. It was the color of the prettiest sunset, the color of the finest gold, the color of the burning hot coals. She, for the bird was the female solar conure, began to sing. It's not funny. I'm so a jerk. I'm such a jerk. Oh my voice. I have to sleep. Sorry for the editor that wants to edit this. I'm not going to edit this. I'm too lazy for this. I'm giving it up. The song was like flaming honey, burning hot and sweet. It made me think of peace and better times, my family, long since dead, since the hand of my enemies. The song was like flaming honey, burning hot and sweet. It made me think of my peace and better times, my family, long since dead at the hands of my enemies. My family, long since dead. My family, long since dead at the hands of my enemies. My family, long since dead at the hands of my enemies, and of my friends both old and new. My soul, my blood, even every part of my body was filled with peace. I will never forget this song, and will never forget that song. After what I could have been a minute or a year, after what could have been a minute or a year, for I will never know how long it was, the bird stopped singing. Water in my eyes, I said, thank you for that. The beautiful bird nodded slightly and vanished. I didn't move for a very long time. Finally, I began walking again. Finally, I began walking again. About a week later, I was having tea with T. The topic of the bird happened to come up. He said there was only one in the whole world, and it was sing only 3 people. About a week later, I was having tea with T, and the topic of the bird happened to come up. He said there was only one in the whole world, and it would only sing to only 3 people. I apparently am one of these people. Chapter 5. The Eye. Again, Chapter 5. The Eye. This story takes place around the year 1200 BC, when the Mallows are fleeing Egypt. Even I am not that old, but Jeff is. My eyes, no. I hate it. I hate it so much. Again. Ouch. This story takes place around the year 1200 BC, when the Mallows are fleeing Egypt. Even I am not that old, but Jeff is. Woo were for there upon a great wind. Woo, for there upon a great wind came upon us, with much howling and great darkness. What's the sentence? It's a crime. You know that? Yes. The tempest was great, and we feared our lives. We cried unto Honor, the god of weather. Save us, for you are mighty, and we are weak. You are strong, and we are not you. Save us, you are the mighty, and we are the weak. You are the strong, and we are not. You are a mighty God, and we are but little children unto you. Therefore, please save us. At once the eye of the wind came upon us, and the great and terrible tempest cleared away. When the eye came upon us, we fell unto our face, we stretched forth our hands and called into hours of mighty voice, O great and O mighty horrors, ye have saved us from your great and terrible storm. We thank your great horrors. I'll sacrifice the sky, the sun, and even all stars and the moon. It was done. Therefore we began our journey once more. Why is the Discord so empty? Yeah. Chapter 6. The first record of a marshmallow Caesar. The Battle of Land Between. I raised my sword even higher as it dashed towards the enemy. Bees is a mighty warrior on his own, and Violet has been trained by T himself, who is the most powerful mage ever would live and will ever live. We will not lose, not this time. We could not lose, for if we did, all would be lost. Using the power of marshmallows, I roared a war cry and echoed across the warp. We could not use, for if we did, all would be lost. Using the power of marshmallows, I roared a war cry that echoed across the battlefield as I slammed into the enemy army like a tornado, slashing easily through their defenses as if they weren't there, throwing enemies aside if they waited nothing, and kicked enemies in the dust. They were unstoppable. Slashing easily through their defenses as if they weren't there, throwing enemies aside if they weighed nothing, and kicked the enemies in the dust. We were unstoppable. My power flowed through me like never before. My eyes glowed with a pure light of marshmallows, and white fire flickered from my fingertips. We tore through the enemy forces easily, dodging arrows, parrying swords with B's mighty axe on my right and Wild's veiled magic on my left. As I lunged the foe, I blinked, and this is when it happened. Through Jeff has no memory for this. Luckily, Bees, who is the father and the only sees Bees, has journals of his own. The battle was not going well. Violet, my dear friend Jeff, and I are mighty, but 6,000 against 30,000 is too much for us, even with me, Violet, and Jeff leading them in an attack. I think that's the reason. I shouldn't have said it. Cut it out. No, cut it out. We would have lost to sheer force of the numbers and overpower, but something happened to Jeff, and I know it was not even to this day. When it happened, Jeff froze, even two at a time. Jeff was in the middle of leaping an enemy. I stared in shock at Jeff. I had no idea Jeff could fly. Then Violet's magic slammed me down away from Jeff. With so much force, I skidded several feet after I hit the ground. Then Violet was slammed into my mind, harder and faster than ever before. Run! The magic is too unstable for me to teleport us safely. Run! The magic is too unstable for me to teleport us to safety. For a second, I lay there stunned. Then I leaped to my feet and sprinted away from Jeff and away from the battle. Vaguely, I remembered that many soldiers from both armies were gawking at Jeff, the battle completely forgotten. I yelled at the soldiers to run, and some did, but others did not. I glanced back at Jeff, splashing around the court and in other ways, still floating mid-air. A glow of pure power was gathering around Jeff. No wonder Violet was too unstable for the magic. No wonder Violet said it was too unstable for the magic. It was the magic that was set off. It might destroy the entire Marshmallow Kingdom. Then the fast lightning bolt, a bolt of pure white energy, shot out from the power around Jeff. It hit one of our soldiers. Nick, I believe, was telling two enemies at once. When the light bolt hit him, he died instantly, sending his body flying around the battlefield only to smash into a rock. White flame still flickering across his body. I heard explosions, thunders, massive bangs, and many more sounds that I don't know how to describe to you. I did not dare to look even back for a second for fear that it would slow me down. Soon I reached the hills of the valley, but I did not stop. I ran fearing for my life. I did not stop until Violet materialized in front of me. My eyes, oh my. I don't know what's wrong. I'm stupid, I'm a jerk. Cut it out. Properly read it yourself. I ran fearing for my life. I did not stop until Violet materialized in front of me. She appeared in a blaze of purple fire. For a second the blaze surrounded her and then soon vanished. I looked at her, horror in my eyes. Violet, my friend, what happened to Jeff? I said desperately. She looked at me sadly and simply shook her head. We looked over to the carnage of Jeff, cows with sad eyes. Jeff destroyed almost the entirety of the enemy army. Back to Jeff's journey again, slammed by Warden to the ground. The enemy must have been dodged. I looked up. The enemy's army was fleeing. I screamed and trimmed and charged at the fleeing army. Then Warden was saying, Jeff, stop! Jeff, Stop! I stopped and looked at her with wild, white fire in my eyes. She who was my friend. The fire dimmed. Jeff, we have won. We did it. You saved us. And it was true. We had done the impossible. We had won. New discoveries about the Mallows, commonly known as marshmallow peel, are being made every day. ESPs has publicly announced that the plan to finish this story and more explanation comes available. That's a very small text, a very small font, and with a italic effect on it. But it's not fat, so no one can actually see it. I hate you, whoever wrote this. Fuck you. Chapter 7. The Argument. Jeff? Okay. Chapter 7. The Argument. No, I don't believe this. Come on, Jeff, it makes all sense. No, just no. I'm not a marshmallow. See? Your skin is the same color as this marshmallow. So? Man. And look, if you squeeze the marshmallow, it's as squishy as your skin. Are you really saying Hector gave my family the gift of marshmallows to turn us into marshmallows? But marshmallows can think. They're not sentient. There are different types of marshmallows. Sorry, but I have to read this text in this time as I'm Jeff Little Beast to the others no real fines. But marshmallows weren't invented. But marshmallows weren't invented when you were saying it all happened. Well, Hacker can tell you future, can't she? No, of course she can't. Why not? She's a god of magic after all, and she just looked into the future and saw what motion. Thought it would be look good if she modeled you after them. But why marshmallows? Why not any other food like, say, apples? Do do do. Dun. Dun. That should be a macOS startup, and I want to edit it in there because someone other has to edit it, and I'm too lazy for it. But why marshmallows? Why not any other food, say like apples? Well, you see, marshmallows are the best food. Oh no, you're just lying. We both knew that you have Android Italian meatball science 230. Oh, now you're just lying. We both knew you have Android Italian meatball science 243 AD when they were first invented. Well, yes, but you're just maybe hiding that the fact that I love marshmallow more than meatballs. You're a marshmallow, so I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Master Beast, Lord Jeff. I'm afraid there's an urgent matter I must attend to. Very well. Extras. Mushroom trees. Mushroom trees are I'm to try to read this. Mushroom trees are colossal fungi that were found throughout Egypt, growing up to 30 meters tall with the caps spanning 15 meters. A creamy white caps and sturdy hollow stalks made them a distinctive feature of the landscape. Growing in warm, humid climates, mushrooms relied on the nutrient-rich most soil of the Nile beings. They had a deep interconnected root system, mycelium, that draws water and nutrients, supporting the rapid growth and surrounding the ecosystem. The giant caps spanning around 50 meters were very important to the Malo culture, as they provide protection from the rain and were also used to harvest rainwater. Some subcultures of the Malo kingdom also worshipped the fungi. Stars were edible and easy to carve out, but still provided insulation and structural stability. Therefore, most Malos carved out the stalks to make their home and collect food in the process. It's also believed that parents told the children that the stalks are poisonous to stop kids from eating the walls. Mushrooms Mushrooms reproduce via spores released under of the cap, which germinate in suitable soil conditions, forming new fungus. All other mushrooms later connect to one giant root system, making one giant organism that can share nutrient advantage through the root system. The mallows. The mallows' bodies resemble soft, large, and around 3 inches too. Marshmallows with a squishy and bouncy consistency. They are generally cylindrical and rounder, and similarly to normal mushrooms, their skin is smooth and glossy, usually pure white. Because of their unique body, they are able to withstand pressure and impacting without getting hurt easily. The mallows are lightweight, making them nimble and quick in their movements. The biology of the biology of the mallows is unique, a mix of natural and magical properties. Their marshmallow bodies are made of sugar and gelatin. They have fluids like corn syrup and water flowing through their body. The sugar helps to speed up the progress for making cells, healing any cuts or tears in their bodies quicker. Breathing is not necessary for them, and they absorb oxygen directly to their skin. The diet consists of mostly marshmallow stalks. As marshmallow people, the mallows have several adaptations. Their bodies can stretch, making them excellent for avoiding danger and squeezing too tight spaces. Despite being made of sugary material, the mallows have developed a resistance to heat and fire. Heat and fire are still dangerous to the mallows too. The lightweight and airy structure of mallows allows them to float on water, making them excellent swimmers. Sorry, but now I have to interrupt. This is not true and not true at all. If you would float on the water, let's say swimming would be a catastrophe, because every time you would try to paddle, you would be very much like just cut it out. Frederick is the coolest cat. These were 28 pages made in Adobe Acrobat. I will finish the recording. And now a little outro. Thanks for listening. Again, now I have to make the outro again. Now the outro. Thank you for listening. This was written by Sisbees, copyright 2024, edited by Dano and Frederick, and read by kdf.graphics, also known as kdf.youtube_YouTube on the platform youtube.com. Let's see you later.